We have a special show for you today. We're going to show you how to cook not backyard ribs, but competition barbecue ribs, the ribs that won World Championship Memphis in May. And I have the world champion himself here. He and his son, John Dalton. Welcome to the show. John David Wheeler. And these guys are the kings of barbecue. They've won awards around the country. I'm gonna let you take the wheel and tell us what's the difference between backyard barbecue cooking, which I do, and most people do, in competition, which is so tough and technical, it seems like.
Yeah, the competition's more of a, you're cooking for the judge. You know what the judge is looking for. You start at the very beginning targeting your rib that way. They like some sweet with a little bit of heat on the back end. Now, when I cook a backyard rib, my own, it's totally different. I like the flavor, totally different flavor profile. It's just what I like, but I don't necessarily cook what I like for competition because you don't win doing that.
Right, exactly. So when you're in the backyard, if I'm over at your house, you're gonna cook me one style of rib, backyard ribs, compared to, I'm not gonna get competition ribs at your house.
It takes too long and I don't like you that much, John.
Okay, good. I appreciate that. So anyway, we're gonna just let you start, John, take the lead, and I'm gonna sit back and watch and learn from you.
Well, we got a couple different kind of ribs here. We're gonna pull out and show to you, and we're gonna trim them down for competition. Okay. We'll show you what to do with, if you wanna do a backyard too, just kind of, if you don't wanna go all the way and you wanna sit in the backyard. And there's a real technical process. It's gonna be tough.
Okay, I will. I'll try my best.
So the first one we have, this is a baby back or a loin back rib, okay? The reason they call it the loin back, this is the loin, the tenderloin off of the hog, and it sits right up next to the back of the spine on the top. They used to call this eating high on the hog. So back years ago and over in England, the queens and kings ate high on the hog, so they were eating the baby backs. And the peasants were eating everything down here below, which is, it's a spare rib. We're gonna cut it down into a St. Louis cut rib. It's also down here in the belly where the bacon comes from, so the peasants wasn't doing too bad. Yeah. So we're gonna take all the fat, this big layer of fat right here, sits right on top of what is part of the bacon. Right underneath here, under this fat, you get into some bacon that gets left onto the baby back rib or the loin back rib. It's what you're gonna see at the store. You can buy levels of ribs that'll be a little better trimmed, and they'll also have the membrane off the back, which we'll show you how to pull that in a second. But no, you can't, really a competition style rib you can't buy anywhere.
So you have to do all the labor.
All the labor, unfortunately.
Now, John, let me ask a question while you're doing that on the rib itself. Fresh ribs?
I try to do all fresh ribs if possible. Now, don't get me wrong, I've cooked frozen ribs. I've cooked them while they were frozen. Yeah. But we try to get a fresh rib. We use a Prairie Fresh Prime product. It's
Prairie Fresh, okay. Yeah, right, Seaboard Farms.
Specialties. Butts and ribs are Prairie Fresh.
Okay, we'll try to put a link up on the channel.
A lot of people will take that back off before they trim them down. So for competition, I'll take these bones on the ends that I know I'm not going to use. What those bones will do is just add to your cook time. Yeah. We don't want to add to our cook time. We want to get this rib as close to about 2.5 pounds as possible. Okay. This is a big boy right here. Yeah, this rib's probably 3.5, 3 3/4 right now.
So when you look for ribs, do you look for thick ribs and straight bones, or?
I definitely look for thicker. I like a heavier, and I'm not using. See, the bones start curving up here. This is closest to the heart right here on the pig. Yeah. That's why you see the redder meat and the more marbling. Okay, yeah. And this is getting further towards the ham, towards the rear end of the pig, and the bones are getting bigger.
So in competition, you want the straighter bones.
Straight bones
all the way down
before your blind box.
Yeah. Okay.
So they'll sit perfectly straight in there, and you don't want the lean.
So if you're cooking a competition rib, then would you sometimes take ribs from several slabs and put in your box, or they all come out of the same?
I don't, because they don't look like the same rib. Yeah. I always make sure I got a rib, and I'm only going to use 5 or 6. And I'm going to use the ribs right about here, right in this part of the rib. Cut. Center cut towards the head of the animal. Okay. So I like this. I like this cut. I'm going to cut this one off just for uniform. Just run my blade right down the edge of that bone. And you get these later, you can put them in the smoker, and we always, during competitions that night, Friday night, we'd take the ends and we'd put them on the smoker, and we'd eat them ourselves, and we'd feed them to people, and people were waiting on that to happen. Good. And then as far as the membrane, I ought to make the boy do this, but I'm gonna do it for him.
This is my least favorite thing to do, right here.
It's it's a learned process now.
What's the best technique? You did that so easily. I would have been there 2 minutes trying to.
I like to go on the big side of the bone, the double bone, the chine bones is what they call them. And I start on that side. I get my finger all the way across, pull up, take an end off, and pull the other end.
Now that tip's worth a like and a subscribe to this channel.
That'll definitely save you about an hour if you're cooking 18, 19 slabs of ribs. There's lots of fat on there. We're going to leave that there. It's going to render off. So this one's trimmed down, ready to go. I might do it a little more on competition, but I got it to the size I like it.
When we were in Canada, of course, we peeled all those ribs. Right. Remember, they were horrible ribs.
Oh, they were terrible ribs.
And you did something there that I thought was very unique. On this back side, I remember we took a spoon and we pushed that blood out of the...
We take the vein side and we purge. See the blood coming out?
Yeah.
And we'll purge. And we'll purge. We get all the blood out of there. So you ever cook a rib and you pull the bone apart, you see that black line?
Yeah.
That's the blood.
Okay.
These ribs won't have that black line.
Is this like a top secret?
Top secret. You need a background check to do this. You can use a spoon or you can use your finger, but don't use your fingernail. You don't want to push so hard.
I'll never do that again with 1,500 slabs of ribs.
No, that was rough. That was rough. It makes them look a lot better. And, it just takes it out. It's almost like purging a crawfish. Okay. Why not? This is not a St. Louis cut. This is a full spare rib. Okay, this is the part that comes from the baby back here, goes all the way down to the belly. These bones turn from, they're flatter bones, and then they turn into like a cartilage down here. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to find the cartilage line, which that line is right here. You can feel the end of the bone. Yeah, you can see it. You can feel the knot. When you run your finger down the bone, it'll be a knot, kind of a bump.
Right there.
Right past the bump. So I'm going to find that line. You'll know if you're there because you're not going to cut through that bone that easy. We're going to have John, we're going to show him how to sharpen this knife later. Then we're going to go up some more. Oops, see, I found a bone. And I found out this table has wheels on it.
Make it a little harder for you today.
And then up here, there's really nothing. So we're going to take this off. Now, this is the rib tips. You actually need a hatchet to pop those rib tips like that.
Yeah. Did someone tell me one time that you used to fry these things?
I used to deep fry the baby backs.
Baby backs.
Yeah, the bones of these.
Yeah.
So we'll cook them, par cook them, get them to about 170 degrees inside.
Yeah.
Slice them up, bread them, do whatever you want to with them.
Really?
I like salt and pepper is all I like on mine.
Well, can we do a video on that one day?
We can definitely do a rib video, a fry and a rib video.
Yeah. Now, John, I tried to make things difficult for you today, and I forgot to put my towel under the board. So
you did. It worked.
I'm trying to throw you off a little bit.
It's okay.
Put you on a pellet smoker. And
almost like being on a lazy Susan. Just kind of goes round and round.
We go.
So now I got it trimmed down, and I actually would maybe try to go a little bit more, but this was a big rib. So this is about as far as we go.
Which is the better tasting of the two ribs?
That's a argument that'll never have an answer.
Okay, yeah.
So this is a fattier rib. It carries different flavors than the loin part. Yeah. I don't know. I love the baby back or the loin back. That's my favorite. But I really enjoy eating a good St. Louis cut or spare rib too. At my restaurant, we sell 3-to-1 baby backs. I'm gonna cut this flap off the end, this end off.
Okay.
That's something else we can keep making rib tips out of.
Okay.
We may even, when we fry the ribs, we'll do some rib tips too.
That'll be good.
They're a delicacy. They're great.
Okay. It's amazing with competition barbecue how it all comes down to that one bite.
One bite.
One bite.
A lot of them just get one bone. They eat that bone. They do the next one, and they like it. They'll come back and get another one. But you gotta wow them with one bite.
One bite. Yeah.
And that's but you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
You don't want to overkill. Then it's like it's not a wow anymore. It's like they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
Now the membrane on this St. Louis cut rib or spare rib is very difficult to take off. Kid wouldn't have been so fast if we had spare ribs, I promise you. Now we got our rib like we want it, that beautiful color there, the beautiful marbling. Backside, we're gonna leave the membrane on these. I like to slice this rib so you don't really need to take the membrane off. And this is, the competition rib is gonna be the baby back. So we got them prepped. We got them to the length and the size. Get that off right there. That we want them. You notice those ribs earlier wouldn't even fit on the cutting board long ways. Now they're both fitting on the cutting board across it.
Pretty uniform.
Yeah, uniform. And I'll make all of these look like this. and then I'll make all these look like this.
So
They'll be about the same
in
size.
competition, you're cooking a lot of ribs to make certain you have the perfect one. How many would you put in the smoker to choose from?
When I'm doing at Memphis in May, we did 22 slabs of ribs.
22 slabs.
And of those 22 slabs, we had 8 designated for the blind box. Okay. We took the best, pretty much 4 of those 8, and we built our boxes with them.
Okay.
And then we have on-site judges, and then you have finals. We got them ready to prep, and I'm gonna let John Dalton come over and prep these ribs for you.
Well, we have another special guest with us today. This is John Wheeler's son, John Dalton Wheeler, and John's been a part of the team since he was very small, cooking competition ribs, very active now. And John's gonna come back and tell us, in fact, we have 3 Johns here today, so it's a little confusing. And you're much better looking than your dad, of course. And I know I'm quite a bit smarter. And I like this apron you have on, Kill 'em and Grill 'em Barbecue. This is my team out of British Columbia, up in Canada. And we've recruited John Dalton Wheeler to be on our team this year to take us to the victory circle to win the World Championship Barbecue Contest. I'm not going to tell your dad until
don't tell him. He might get a little upset.
So anyway, so what are we going to do here?
So I'm going to walk y'all through how we season these ribs at a competition, some of the things we do, just the way we do them. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn the rib over. I like to do the back side first.
Okay.
The front's what you're going to see. That's where I want the rub to look the best on.
Look the best. That's a good idea.
So I'm going to take mustard. That's what I use as my binder. You're not going to taste it. It's just you're using it simply as a binder. And there's a little bit of vinegar in mustard, so it's going to help tenderize the meat a little bit.
Okay, good.
So I'm going to take it. Maybe. It's not open. I told you.
I always have to put a trick on you Wheeler boys, I tell you.
I got gloves on. It's going to be a little
We have a
difficult.
fean more of
There
these
you go.
little landmines in store.
I asked before we started if it was
look.
open, and he said, yes, it's open. And indeed, it's not open.
Hey, don't always trust me. Do you ever do this like a day ahead of time, or does that do
So
anything?
at a competition, I want to do it the night before.
Night
And
before,
let them
okay.
sit all night over.
I found
And then
that
right
one of
before,
the secrets.
Right before we put them back on the grill, we're going to redust them, just to, build the bark back up. You want it to look uniform across the top of the rib.
Okay.
My dad only likes to redust the top. I do both sides. He doesn't know we did it at Memphis in May, so we're not going to tell him. But
We
I'm going to
won't
start
let
here,
them see this video here.
and I'm just going to lightly coat it.
Very light coat. Is this your own rub here?
Yeah, this is our own rub. We call it $1 Million Rub.
Can we buy that anywhere?
Not yet. We're working on that.
Okay, good.
So now we're just going to turn them over and repeat the process. Before we do the tops, we're going to hit the sides. We're going to go over the bones with it.
Okay.
We like to do it because it's sweet to the bone. We want the flavor to lock into the bones.
Okay,
all the flavor to lock inside. So I'm going to take my mustard, give it one line. I'll rub it in.
And that's just a really light coating of mustard. I mean, it's just very.
It's just there for a binder.
Do
just
you
to
ever
help the
use
rub
anything other than mustard as a binder? I've seen people use all sorts of things.
I've always used mustard. That's what I grew up
Yeah.
using, so that's what I continue to use.
You know, I showed your dad a trick up in Canada, and it's one that I scored higher in the competition.
Didn't you show him what, mayonnaise?
Than
And beat him with it?
I just happened, yeah, to beat him. It happened to be Duke's mayonnaise, and I think this is probably really what y'all might have used to win last year. But that's.
We weren't going to tell people that.
Okay,
We're trying to keep it a secret.
I've let the cat out of the bag, but anyway, that's what I use on occasion, and it works pretty good actually. So far, the hardest part of all this has been just the prepping of the ribs, getting them cleaned up. It looks like.
That's the hardest part.
So that's
Just getting them looking how you want them to look.
Yeah. And I know you're a true leader because you made your dad do that part, and you're doing the easy part.
Well, he likes to do that part
Yeah.
because
It makes him feel
it
important.
makes him feel like he
Yeah.
actually did something
Yeah.
and really,
Well, good.
really contributed to the winning efforts. And then he wants me to do everything else. But
Yeah.
I'm okay with letting him trim them because I'm not very good with knives. I like to cut myself more than I cut
Yeah,
the meat.
I've been there, done that. Yeah, that's beautiful. I like the color of that, and when it cooks in that smoker, it's going to develop that
It's going
rich
to be a very
color.
reddish color to the ribs when they get done.
So these are going to go in the refrigerator 24 hours? Just like this?
I'll put them in a big black trash bag
Okay.
and throw them in a cooler.
Okay.
Put a little ice on them.
Okay.
I think the refrigerator kind of dries them out a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know if that's scientifically proven, but I feel like it is, so
yeah.
I stick to what I like.
Okay.
That's what we
Sure.
do.
It works for you. I mean, world champion, you can't get any better than that, I don't think.
Yep.
And so when these come out of the cooler tomorrow, will they be wet looking or will
They're
they
gonna have a wettish look to them. It's
Wet,
gonna
okay.
look like almost like a glazy look to them.
Yeah, and that
all
salt-
the rub's gonna be all over the place. It's just
Yeah.
gonna.
So this is kind of like a dry brine then. Basically, you're brining it with a dry seasoning. That salt's going to permeate down into the meat. So that's interesting. So that's what they look like after they've been in the cooler overnight, or ever how you want to do it. They're kind of wet looking. So we're going to redust these again?
Yeah, we're gonna redust them, and it's just gonna be a light dusting just to put the flavor back on there, I guess. I like layers of flavor.
Yeah, that's great. That's the way you. Beautiful.
So another thing is when we're redusting these, we usually pull them out at a contest when we're starting the fire for our grill. We want to let them sit out,
temper a little bit.
yeah, temp, kind of come up to, I guess, room temp, you would say.
So how long? An hour or so?
Yeah, hour and a half. It's just depending on how long it takes your grill to come up.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let them sit for about an hour, and then we're gonna throw them on the grill, and we'll come back when we get there. Our hot spot on this grill is gonna be over here. I wanna take the fat part of this rib, and I wanna stick it towards the hot spot.
With the hot spot, okay.
This is a skinnier rib, not as thick. I'm gonna try to put it kind of over here, away from the hot spot. That way they kind of cook as even as possible. First hour, we're just gonna let them go. And then we're gonna open it in about an hour, we're gonna spritz them, and we're gonna go from there.
Okay, now we're ready to wrap the ribs. My trusty assistant here, John Woods, is going
finally
to,
let me do something.
Yeah, he gets to do something. So first thing was we lay down a bed of brown sugar. I like to either use the squeeze butter and be liberal with it. Go ahead and put some down. So we got this layer down, and it's the butter and the brown sugar, and now we're going to come back with a little sweeter. And you also, which I do sometimes, there's a seasoning called Tiger. It's a hot sauce.
Tiger sauce.
Tiger sauce, or you can use any kind of hot sauce if you want. I like that because it doesn't have as much of the vinegary taste to it.
Right.
And it'll light you up. Be careful with it. Don't use too much. But I like to sprinkle a little of that in there. If we're cooking somewhere and it's cold outside, I like to have a little more bite. Now, if it's hot outside, if it's 100 degrees, don't use it. You'll burn them up.
Oh, really?
So we got that, and now we got the honey down on there. I'm going to get the spare rib first. Yeah, that looks nice. That looks really nice. And you're going to be eating off the top. You want the flavor up there. So we put them upside down. John's going to kind of make me a little bit of a cradle here. He's going to make it roll up the sides so this apple juice doesn't fall out. There you go. And now you got the downhill side finally. We don't want to put it in the cavity, but I'm pouring this right in front and right behind. And this is actually a concentrate apple juice, so it's even stronger. I've even used apple sauce before.
Now, I notice a lot of people wrap theirs a little differently. So what's your technique?
So I wrap because I know I'm going to have to be looking at these ribs. So I try not to tuck under. I go over one, I go over again, and then I just slip my ends.
Yep.
No rolls, because when I check this rib later on the grill,
You don't want it
yeah, it's just real easy. I can go in and go right back out. And it does the same thing as these people that wrap it 1,000 different ways.
And this is going to go back on the grill how long?
2 hours. See on this one, beautiful rib, by the way. Look at that. But the bone's trying to start pull. Now I know it's a good time to wrap. They're starting to pop a little bit.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
That bone's going to come out to about a quarter or almost a half inch when it's ready. Don't slide this on the grill grates or you're going to bust the foil.
And if you put the bone side down, will that tear the foil?
Anything, if you slide it, will tear the foil, but bone side will tear it quicker. I'm doing the meat side down because that's where our juice is, our flavor. And we'll doctor the back of the rib if we want to later on. But I don't like to put any liquid back there because it'll start steaming, it'll pop the bones, and it'll be some shiners on the backside.
All right, good deal. Well, let's shut the grill and we'll be back later.
Here we are. We just glazed the back of the ribs. We flipped them over. We're gonna glaze the front. Let you see what it looks like. John Dalton's gonna do it for us. Oh, look at there. Isn't that beautiful?
So now we're gonna let the glaze sit for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna come back, pull them off the grill, and cut into them and see how they look.
John and this John's been waiting 6 hours. I can't believe I've hung out with you guys for 6 hours now waiting for these ribs to come off the grill, but it's gonna be well worth it. These are beautiful competition style ribs, and I'm gonna give you the honor to cut into them, and I'm gonna take the first bite.
Okay, we're gonna start with the St. Louis cut. I like to do the double bone cut, and
I prefer having a quadruple bone cut.
the quad cut.
Slide one of those out. All righty, so we're looking for this to be a one bite experience, and we don't want it to fall off the bone, which is not doing.
Want to have a little bite.
We want to have a little, we want the meat to hang on after we bite it.
Yes.
So, man, that's as good as you can get right there.
Those are
Wow.
good. Good looking prairie fresh.
I took more than one bite though.
That's okay. You can take two.
Man, those are absolutely. I've had a lot of your ribs over the years, but these are just top right here.
They're a little better than the mass-produced ones. There you go. That's a nice bite. Then we're gonna take the baby back. We're gonna hold it up to show you that it's not fall off the bone. Got a little piece down here coming off. But when we take it up like this, we got texture. We got it's hanging on, but also it's just that tender. Let's cut these up. These are my favorite right here. You see the smoke ring in there? See the color, the smoke? This is all, I used cherry wood on this.
Yeah, now explain what a smoke ring is.
Smoke ring is actually the smoke penetrating into the meat. You get a smoke ring till about 140 degrees, and then once you get to 140 on any meat, you don't have to put any more wood on there because you're not getting any more penetration of smoke. It's only going to be on the outside. Yeah. Now, it's not a bad idea to finish with some smoke, to put some on the outside, some more to layer it. But the smoke ring is actually smoke penetrating into the meat, and what a great flavor it is.
Wow, it really is. We want to thank our friend John Wheeler and his son John Dalton for being here today on All Things Food. We've cooked some of the best ribs I've ever had in my life, and I tell you what, I'm going to go heads up with you at Memphis in May this year. Yeah, I think you're going to go down.
Oh, so, hey, it's a big challenge. Come on.
And I'm going to not only love to cook these ribs, but I'm going to cook to love them.
With mayonnaise.
Yep, exactly.